Hi, Pisces. Welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for November of 2020. This month's themes start out financial in a continuation of last month's themes, but then they verge into the cosmic and existential, if you will. And if you find yourself asking the really big questions in life, such as, what does it all mean? Then your best avenue would probably be to get a natal in transit reading to answer those questions. And you can find a link for that in the YouTube description below. So 2 months that have been bugging us, two planets that have been bugging us for a couple of months are about to go direct. And Julia's going to tell you all about it. Hey, Julia, what's up for the Pisceans of the world this month?
Oh, well, hey there, Pisces. So I'll start with Mercury, the planet of communication and mentation, which begins the month retrograde. And all of this is happening in your eighth house. That's the house of other people's money, also research and investigation. So it means that for the past few weeks, you've been having to rethink your shared finances with others, whether that's finances you share with a partner, your family, or a bank, like debts, loans, taxes, etc. And since this is also the house of research, you may have had to rethink some of your conclusions on something you've been researching, whether it's for school, whether it's in your job, or in your personal life as well. Just don't get too paranoid. Then on November 3rd, Mercury finally goes direct, so that's going to make things a lot easier. Then Mercury enters Scorpio on November 10th, which goes into your ninth house. That's the house of the higher mind. And Mercury loves to learn things. So this is a great, great transit for really expanding your mind. Wonderful for people who are in school. And if you're not in school, then this is a great time to learn a little language, maybe that you've always been wanting to go over, or even new software, anything that kind of expands your worldview. Now, the other planet I want to talk about is Mars, which also begins the month retrograde in the sign of Aries, but it finally goes direct on November 14th in your second house. So the second house is a house of money and possessions, as well as values. So for the last couple of months, you've been really going through a very frustrating cycle with anything having to do with stuff you own. Maybe car payments are becoming to be too onerous, or, other types of things that you own might need a lot of extra kind of support from you. Or maybe you've just been trying to increase your income, but been feeling like you've been facing obstacles along the way. And since it's also the second house of values, you may have had to kind of fight with other people over your own values, whether they're religious values, political values, or family values. But having Mars going direct right now, that's going to make things just so much more smoother, which is great news. Then Venus, the planet of art, beauty, and relationships, begins the month in the sign of Libra, which corresponds with your eighth house as well. So the eighth house is also a very physically intimate house too. So you and your partner might go through kind of an intense period that brings you two closer together, as well as kind of arousing you as well. Then Venus enters Scorpio on November 21st, which is your ninth house. Again, if you're in a relationship, this could be a time where you really want to, travel a bit with your partner or go on some adventures together. And if you're single, you could find yourself developing a crush on somebody who comes from a very different background than you.
Yeah, and I think that Venus transit into the ninth house can really bring some sweetness to the search for meaning. That big question of, what does it all mean? Why am I here? That existential question that we get to every once in a while, where we're like, why does shit happen to me?
Uh-huh.
Karmic, right? But Venus can make those questions, it can just add a little sweetness wherever it goes. So the same day that Venus moves into Scorpio, the sun moves into Sagittarius, which is all about those big questions. And that corresponds with your 10th house of career. And, having Sagittarius in your 10th house just in the first place means that there's a side of you that wants to show some big leadership in career. And this is the time of the year when you might want to explore that and ask yourself, how can I be a bigger person in my career? And Sagittarius season is the best time to do it. Okay, so earlier in the month, we have got the first of this month's 2 moons. We have a new moon in Scorpio on the 14th, which falls again in your ninth house of meaning, of travel, of expanding your mind. Now, the interesting thing is that this house is a Scorpio house for you, which means that expanding usually means deepening and possibly concentrating too. Scorpio is the sign of death and rebirth. And so we have a special name for this moon, which is consider your shared estate, because of its combination of Scorpio factors, which means a preoccupation with death and endings and what might that mean, if you will, combined with Juno, which is the asteroid goddess of marriage and committed relationships of all kinds, meaning spousal relationships, but also business partnerships. And then there's also a big pile of Capricorn involved in this moon too, bringing in themes of responsibility. So we're thinking this moon is a really good time for you to do things like get a will, draw up a trust, really dot the I's and cross the T's in the finances that you share with anyone in your life. And that also does mean things like taxes and insurance. Now, later in the month, we have the second moon, and that is a full moon. It happens on the 30th. And it happens in your fourth house of home, family, domestic life, heritage, and roots, opposite the sun up in the 10th house that I was just speaking of. And this moon we call Make the Mind, Body, Heart Connection. And the reason for that is that the moon, and a full moon especially, is often really emotional, really intense, loaded with passion and strong feelings. But this one happens to be in Gemini, which is a sign that is super cerebral, very heady and thinky. And also another factor is Ceres over here in Pisces, square to that moon, bringing in themes of the physical world. So when it comes to the balance between home and career and how those arenas interact with each other, that's the axis where this moon is falling. This month, make the mind, body, heart connection and bring those things together. In longer term news, Saturn and Jupiter are going to be moving out of Capricorn, where they have been, and into the sign of Aquarius. And that's going to happen next month, but we are starting to tell you about it already this month because I think it's really good news. The mood is going to lighten up tremendously. And so you can find out more about that in the videos that we have made about it in our November 2020 news playlist on our YouTube channel, Pandora Astrology. Well, I hope you enjoyed this horoscope. We certainly enjoyed making it for you. If you do enjoy this horoscope, please do send it to your friends and point them over here, like, share, and subscribe. We always like to see you in our corner of the universe. And until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos. Bye.
Bye-bye.